I have a dream, oh, I have a dream. Red, white, and blue, fly free, fly free. I believe, oh, I believe. Will you dream with me?
Good morning, everyone out there. Welcome to Changing Times. This is October the 12th. Wednesday. Wow. I tell you what, we just all weathered. We've got producers here. Everybody's a volunteer here. That's so great. And so we've got Mark and Matt and the controls today. And
nice job back there.
Yeah,
nice
good job. And then we've got Louie Michael. He's our co-host. I tell you what, you're almost like a regular now.
I'm getting to be, yeah.
You are, and I tell you. And then we've got a special guest today, my daughter, Mandy Gray. So we're going to talk about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we're going to talk about things that I'm hoping that people will learn some of the facts and learn how important prevention is. That is the key. The earlier you can detect and find out that you have any type of cancer, but today we're dealing with breast cancer, the better it's going to be. And so we're going to talk about some facts and figures and things like that. And Louie and I are certainly not experts on this. We really had the experts also besides Mandy. She's an expert because she is a cancer survivor, breast cancer survivor. But we had some other people that were going to be on, and for whatever reason, we couldn't get them on today, and from the Breast Cancer Foundation. And so that would have even been better for us, but Louie and I will pick up the slack.
They're very busy this month because it is
Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
And they had their big benefit last weekend, which I attended.
I think that was last Friday night.
Yes.
Yeah. And so thanks for helping them with the fundraiser and awareness and stuff like that. So anyway, we welcome everyone. You might take a pencil and paper. We're going to be talking about some important sponsors later on. Louie is actually a sponsor, so this is pretty cool. He's a co-host substitute, and really might as well just get him an extra chair and have him on in here all the time. Don will be back next week, and I think Don is helping take care of her mother today. Had a health situation that she's helping her with, so that's where Don is. And but she'll be back. She'll be back next Wednesday. And then for all the people that's watching all over the world in this country, breast cancer is one of these things that you don't escape it. And most of the statistics that I've looked at, whether it be in another country or whether it be in the United States, 1 out of 8 women are going to come down with breast cancer at some time in their life. I mean, that's a lot. When you're talking about 330 million people in our country, 1 out of 8 people are going to come out with breast cancer. For women, breast cancer and skin cancer are the number 2 types of cancers that women get. And but you don't die as often with skin cancer. Obviously, skin cancer can be terminal too. But breast cancer is the one that kills the most people.
I didn't realize didn't learn this till Friday night last week at the ceremony. They had a couple of speakers there that were men, and how many men it affects too. And it's very important for men to check themselves.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so, some of those signs and symptoms that people always talk about is, maybe a lump, maybe a tenderness, soreness that you didn't have before. Maybe you got a tenderness or maybe a kernel underneath your armpit that all of a sudden comes up. Those are normal things. I've had them throughout my life because our body fights off. And so when you have an infection somewhere in your body, sometimes you'll have a kernel appear, and that's really basically the dead white cells that are kind of accumulating and things like that. That's kind of part of the healing process. But if they don't go away and they continue to get bigger and more painful, because they can really be painful, then you definitely want to make sure you go to the doctor. They were talking about maybe discoloration or maybe the breast changes shape, a little bit of a shape, because if there's a tumor on the inside, it may bulge out. And so there may be a change in the shape, maybe a discharge, even a bloody discharge from the nipple. That can be a sign or symptom. And so all those things, plus having having a buddy, or you check yourself. I mean, we watch that on TV all the time. That the three of us have seen these ads on TV where it says once a month you should have a friend or buddy or spouse or somebody be checking and helping do a breast check to make sure there's no lumps or anything that's irregular. And those are so important. And then mammograms. Mammograms are so important. And I think now, I tried to research, I think now that the age that insurance will pay for is 40. Do you guys think that's
40 is
40?
Yeah, unless there are issues that bring you in sooner than that.
Okay. So the insurance companies will pay for a mammogram around the age 40. But I'm telling you, as a state representative, one of the things that we tried to do was to get that down to, because it used to not even be 40, it used to be higher.
Really?
And this is your best detection device. And so I'd like to see it get down to 35 or even 30.
It's not an old person's disease or
no, and
sickness,
that's the problem. I think when you hear Mandy's story, you're going to learn that it's not, as you get older, it can happen at any time, but it happens a lot more often now to younger people. And that's why you'd think an insurance company would practice preventive medicine. It's going to be a lot cheaper to diagnose early than to wait till it gets further along. And now you've got a lot more different types of things that you got to go through. You got to go through radiation, you got to go through chemo, you got to go through surgery. All those things are possibilities. So Mandy, I lived through that with you too, and our family did, because here's the deal, guys out there, when somebody in your family comes down with a serious illness like cancer, it's going to obviously affect the person that has cancer the most, but it actually affects your entire family. And everybody's kind of involved in the treatment and the recovery and the diagnosis. Everybody's in all of it. So Mandy, how old were you when you were found to have breast cancer?
I was 35.
35.
And I found it myself. I was actually, I didn't really check myself regularly or anything. And I was going to tan and lay in the tanning bed and just, was getting situated, and I felt it. And I knew at that point that wasn't, that wasn't a normal spot that I should have. And so I pretty much immediately made some phone calls to get into a physician and get checked out. And so the first step was to have a mammogram, since I wasn't old enough at the time to be going in for those regularly. That was the first step, was to get one scheduled.
Did you have a family member? So
my grandma on your side had breast cancer that she had beaten, but it doesn't usually flow paternally, is what I was told. But my grandma on my dad's side did actually have breast cancer, and she beat that when I was in probably grade school, I think, whenever she went through that.
Yeah, my mom, for all the older folks listening today, especially the women, I mean, my mom was probably
late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah, she was older when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she didn't, at her age, choose to have a reconstruction process. And so she just kind of, and I think, did she have 2 different surgical procedures? Whatever. I mean, tough lady. Back then, the survival rate wasn't near as good. And so she did have a mastectomy. And so you chose, because it was only in one breast, right?
Only in one breast, which usually that's how it is.
Starts out.
It can always go into both, but usually it's just in one. And so, which was my case. And Dr. Bunbury here in Springfield, he was my main surgeon, and he gave me the option and said, if I wanted to have a double, then of course he would fight with the insurance companies to let me do that. And he didn't tell me what to do. I was stage 2, like beginning of stage 3, but they didn't know if it was in my lymph nodes or not yet until I had surgery. And so he went ahead and just kind of let me make that decision myself.
So doing both, would that be more preventative?
Yeah.
Possibly for future?
Yeah, it was more preventative. And then also at my age, I mean, I'll be completely transparent. At my age, going through something like that, I was 35 and I didn't want to look different. I didn't want one side to be different than the other. And so I pretty much made the decision right then and told him that that's what I wanted to do. And I'll be completely honest, he was very happy with that decision. And I've had other friends and other people that I've known that have gone in and they've had a lumpectomy and it comes back, or they just do one side and it comes back. And so I think that that's probably what he sees a lot of too. And so he seemed like he was happy that that was the decision that I made. What a decision.
I mean, as a woman, I mean, thinking about that, I can't imagine knowing that part of you is going to be removed.
Right. And at 35, I mean, a very young age, and you got to make that decision. And honestly, young women shouldn't have to be facing that, but that's what happens. I'm just curious, and I know Dr. Bunbury is a tremendous physician here in Springfield, Southwest Missouri, but did the insurance companies fight that?
I don't think that they actually did with mine. I think it depends on your insurance company, and the particular one that we had at the time, they didn't. He didn't seem to have any trouble getting that.
Okay.
So,
because I'm sure they would probably look at it as an investment.
You would think
their own financial future. It's going to cost them more money.
You would think
down the road.
But I don't know if they always think that way.
No,
but
I tell you what, I've seen that in the legislature, that you'd think that there would be some really no-brainers, things that they would do early on to prevent more expensive processes and later on, but they don't seem to always do that. So very, very hard. So how long did that process last before you had surgery?
So
from the start to
I found out in early fall. It was actually the end of October when I found out. And because I went in for the mammogram, and then I actually stayed there that day so they could do the mammogram. And then if they wanted to get other pictures, they could go ahead and do that while I was there if they needed better pictures. So I did that. And then I went back for a biopsy. I think just either later that week or the first part of the following week. So it was very quick. I mean, they worked really quick to get me in and everything. And then I do remember them asking when I had the biopsy, do you want us to call you with your results, or do you want to come in? And so I thought, oh, I'm tough. I'll just call me. It's no big deal. Just call me. And so I remember, if you remember, we were at work that day, and Brian, one of my best friends, he was at work that day, and I got the phone call. And
so do you go back somewhere private and sit down? Do you just
I just kind of keep working, sat there at my desk for a minute, and I think Brian knew, just by my actions and and what I had said, and and so then I went and told my dad's office was just up the hall from mine, and so I went and and told him, and I remember we took a drive, and I think we went and had some chips at the local Mexican place in Ozark, and just kind of figured it out, and
put together a plan,
and just
it was
kind of
a shock
decided,
though. I mean, it really was a shock to hear that your daughter's got cancer and what type of cancer and everything like that. But I tell you what, I think Mandy handled it very well. And so one of the things why I wanted Mandy to be on today is because that I don't know how many people, you're not counting them, how many, but one of the things that you've done that I'm so proud of is you've taken your case. And a lot of people, depending, no matter what it is, they don't want to talk about what they're dealing with, And so, Louie, that's another reason why you're such a difference maker. Mandy, you're a difference maker. I mean, people who will share intimate things that will actually help other people out there, help other people have some hope, have some joy, know what's going on, that they are important. They're going to be okay, especially if they know God, they're going to be okay. And so you're sharing your story, but people started reaching out to you. Women started reaching out to you. And what did you tell women?
Well, I mean, first of all, I had a lot of people that reached out to me whenever I was going through it, just giving me tips. And I mean, one of the people that we both know really well, and she wouldn't mind me saying, but she has a kennel that we take our dogs to. And, and she had gone through it and, and was happy to reach out to me and, give me encouragement and tips and, and there were a lot of other people, like that. And then I also had a friend that wasn't much older than me that went through it pretty much right before me.
Yeah.
And, and everybody has a different story and different treatment.
There's something about just knowing that somebody has walked the path you've walked.
Yeah.
And they've gotten that phone call too, or they've been in the office and got that word that they're sick. And just knowing that somebody understands what you feel. That, as my dad used to say, you're not the Lone Ranger.
No.
And I was like, what? But it's true. We're not alone in all this. And we're not the only one that have experienced death or heartache or relationship problems, marriage, whatever, and like this, it's so nice when people reach out and say, hey, I've been there. You're going to be okay. And this is what to plan on and how to look at it. It really makes a difference.
Yeah. And I think that's part of it. And just knowing, that there are other people out there that have gone through it. And then that's kind of how I wanted to be for other people. So I've, Mercy, actually, whenever I was going through it, they ask you if you want other people, if somebody is going through it, if, you would mind to talk to other people about it.
That's great.
And of course I didn't, I'm pretty much an open book and I wanted to help other people. And there's so many things, and it's not of the fault of the doctors, but there's just things that they don't think to tell you.
Right.
Dr. Bunbury, he's been through the surgeries a million times, but it's not something he's experienced.
Well, there's little things that maybe a lady will
one of the biggest,
one
of the biggest things, before that, I had never, the biggest health type thing I'd ever had done was my wisdom teeth taken out. So, I'd never had stitches. I'd never broken a bone.
You're pretty healthy.
Yeah. I was very healthy. And, so then you have the surgery that you go home the same day. So you have a double mastectomy. That's what
was amazing to me.
Yeah. And they send you home the same day. And you have drains and all of this stuff. I knew nothing. About that.
That's scary.
And, my husband at the time, he learned how to deal with the drains. He had never dealt with anything like that before either. And so he learned how to deal with all of that. And so he took care of the drains and stuff for me. I have a horrible gag reflex that I get from him. And so I can't deal with anything like that. And so he took care of that for me. But little things like that you don't really know about beforehand. And one of the ladies that had talked to me before I had surgery, she told me, she said, you need to get these little pouches to hold your drains, because otherwise they just hang there.
Right.
And so I'm just like, okay, whatever. And so I remembered to ask so you just have this little pouch that goes around your neck and put your drains in it. And it sounds ridiculous, but it's something that really, helped me.
Is there a book out there of just even, I always think of the quirkiest things, like that.
Yeah.
Is there anything out there that people can buy that just spells out exactly what you're going to see, feel, think? Maybe it needs to be written.
Yeah, it might need to be written. Not that I know of. And that's the worst thing you can do is get on the internet.
Yeah, right.
And you always hear that when you think something,
Dr. Google.
when you have a medical issue, don't get on the internet. And really, that was probably one of the worst things that I did was, you immediately start searching stuff. Yeah. And so you don't want to do that. But
you get a lot of conflicting information.
You do.
Something may be really good, but then there's other things that contradict that, and then you get kind of confused after a while. What's really true, what's not true, and what would really help you.
Because I have found for Patty, I've told her that I've looked it up on Google that men's hearing really does go bad, and she doesn't believe me. But there's no such thing as selective hearing.
I would differ. I would beg to differ.
Well, I think she would too. She would too.
But
so you become a resource for other people too now?
And so I've had other people that have, gone through the same journey that I did, and other friends that know other people that have reached out to me to see if I wouldn't mind, just kind of talking them through it, and just kind of giving them some of those helpful, little hints that I found out along the way. And one of the things that, I always tell people, everybody's journey is different, but I think when you're dealing with that part of your body, and it's something, that's very feminine, and something that, as women, we're very partial to that, and very, and it's an emotional thing. And I don't think that sometimes the surgeons and the people that are on that side of it, they don't necessarily think about the mental and the emotional part of it. And so, I had never had to take anything for, like my mental well-being or my emotional well-being. And that was one thing that, I asked for, because there would be days I was working all the way up until I had surgery, and there would be days that, I'm just fine. And then some days you really start to think about it, and you just have one of those really dark
Did you ever
days.
feel anxiety or depression
through that time period?
So that was kind of
and
normal.
So that kind of helped me through that, being able to have something that I could take to kind of help me through that. So
well, fantastic.
Wow, I tell you what, we're going to continue talking with Mandy Gray, and but we're going to talk about our sponsors. So get that pencil and paper out, because we've got some very important information to share. Our 3 sponsors are extremely important to us. And our very first sponsor that we had was Brad Pistow. He's a certified fiduciary financial planner located right in Ozark, Missouri. So right here in Southwest Missouri, but he's also licensed in Kansas and Arkansas. So 3 states. Now there's still 47 other states, but he knows associates in the other 47 states. So he can help you find someone that will help you in retirement planning. I look at Mandy and I think about young people, and I think about it's never too early to start thinking about retiring. Really, look at what it's costing to live today, and thinking about what is it going to cost in 10 years from now. How about just 5 years? How about 20 years? And so really, really important to have some type of financial plan that you can live on. I'm not sure if we can depend on Social Security. I hope we can, because we paid into it, but who knows? Who really knows what will be in the future? So Trinity Financial Insurance Services, Financial Services, Insurance Services, right in Ozark, Missouri. And I've got a phone number. I need you to make sure you write this down. 417-581-9222. 417-581-9222. When you answer the phone, in all probability, you're going to get Lisa that's going to answer the phone. And she's also licensed to help you, but she will make sure that you get a free book. They're going to maybe they'll send you both books. Safe Money Matters is his first book, #1 best-selling book on Amazon in retirement planning. And now he's got a new book out in December of last year called Bulletproof. It's a continuation of what he's talking about, where you never can outlive your retirement planning if you do it right. And a tremendous person. My family has investments with him, and all our retirement planning is with him. And that's how much we trust him. And other family members have done the same thing. Interesting enough, Dawn, when she first met Brad Pistow when he came on our show, she went home and she was so excited that she told part of her family members about it. And a lot of her family members already knew Brad Pistow. And so it's just a really good guy. But he's going to send you all kinds of information on the mail. And then, hey, guess what? This is Medicare time right now. And for all the people that's going to be enrolled in Medicare this year for the first time, or whether you are going to re-enroll in Medicare, Hunter Pistow sells stocks, and he also specializes in Medicare planning. He can hook you up with the best Medicare plan that you need, one that's going to save you money and have the best services. So they do a little bit of everything, and so you want to make sure that you call Brad Pistow. 417-581-9222. The second sponsor that we have is another tremendous group of people, and that's John Youngblood and John Whittaker. We've had John Whittaker on our show, and all our sponsors are going to be on our show later on this fall, because that's something we do. We're going to kind of reconnect with them. And, they have been in business 43 plus years, the oldest family-owned car dealership in Southwest Missouri. That's quite a feat itself. But I like this guarantee, that way that they deal with buying a car, selling a car, trading a car in. So what they do, somebody like Louie, he's smart. Mandy, she's smart. I'm not so smart. So I'll probably have to go mess with the dealers and mess with the salesman on the parking lot. But you two, and Mark, our engineer, he probably can do it too. You go online, You can make a trade. You can pick your car. And then they do all this stuff. You'll do everything online. You don't have to go see anybody. And then they'll deliver the car. They're the only company that delivers the car to your driveway or to your place of business. And then, like I say, you can put your wife in the front seat. You can put the kids in the back seat, put the dog in the trunk. You just drive that car around for 72 hours. 72 hours, you get to see if that car is going to be the car for you. If you don't like that car, call them. They'll bring you a different car. How easy is that to buy a car?
There's still something about going and just sitting and touching and feeling and smelling the interior and,
Well, you get to smell it in your own driveway.
That's true.
I'm always frustrated when I have to. They always tell you, well, we can get you out in 30 minutes. We can get you out in 60 minutes. I've never seen anybody get out in 60 minutes when they're buying a car. So I'm the guy that has to
tires.
Yeah, I'm the guy that seems like it takes a little bit longer. But they're located in Springfield, Missouri. Their telephone number 417-882-3838, 882-3838. And they sell Nissan Kias. They sell all kinds of Nissans, and they also have a tremendous inventory of used cars, always over 150 used cars. And used cars is a tremendous market right now because cars cost so much. And so many times they sell a lot of program cars and a lot of cars that have warranties with them. And those are really important. And so right across the street on South Campbell in Springfield, new cars on one side, used cars on the other side. You can't miss them. They've been in business a long time. I highly recommend them.
I will say that they were a big sponsor the other night at the Breast Cancer Foundation of the Ozarks, and they put up a lot of money on some auction items, and also one of the sponsors. So thank you to those guys for doing that.
Oh, I tell you what, they are probably one of the most generous companies out there. I mean, honestly, we see them all the time. Sponsoring things, and they also do that with the honor flight that we just had to send the veterans to DC. They are everywhere, and they really give back to their community.
Part of the community.
So that's why I like doing business with companies like that, because every car that they sell, whether it be new or used, they take $100 of money and they put it aside to help people, and they're doing actually hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, helping schools, helping different facilities, helping groups like you said, the Breast Cancer Foundation. They're helping those people, and what a great group.
Absolutely.
My last two cars, my Grand Cherokee Summit cars, are bought from John Whittaker. One actually was owned by John Whittaker, and one was owned by John Youngblood. And I bought my cars with 8,000 miles and 4,000 miles.
Not everybody gets that treatment like you.
So it's a good way to buy those cars when they're just brand new but got a few miles on them.
But they take care of the simple guy.
Oh, they do.
They
do. I'd highly recommend them. And then guess what? Our last sponsor is probably the most important sponsor, and that's you, Louie.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, that's you, because
thank you very much.
Because I tell you what, I'm so proud of you. I've known you for a while and things like that. But Louie is a professional realtor down in Ozark, Missouri, called The Firm, F-I-R-M, The Firm. And that's the Parham family. That they've been in real estate business forever down in Ozark, Missouri. And I knew them 40 or 50 years ago, the Parham family. And now they've got this group of realtors like Louie, really good professional realtors that can help you buy a home, help you sell a home. And his number, because this is really important, I've called him several times on this number, and he'll call you right back. If for some reason, and he's out there in the woods selling a piece of property or selling a home or something like that, he'll text you and say, I'll call you right back.
I was in the woods yesterday when you called.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, he calls back every time. Better than some of the government officials I work with in Ozark, Missouri. Some of them don't return calls very well. But so this is really important. His phone number, paper and pencil, 417-988-1086. Do it again, 417-988-1086. And then we came on this just while we were in the show and doing our show one day, and I thought of it, and Louie decided to do it because this is cool. If I had a house to sell I'd use Louie. If I was going to buy a house, I'd buy it from Louie. And here's why I would do it. He's going to be really good and he's going to help you, but he is going to have an Elvis concert at your house. So what's really cool is you don't know any neighbors. You buy a house and all of a sudden Louie will come and you can have refreshments. You can make up some cookies and things. And then Louie will do a concert for you and they'll think Elvis was on the property and you'll meet all those neighbors. I mean, buy a house from Louie Michael. My gosh, what a bonus. No other realtor. I don't think there's another singing Elvis realtor in Southwest Missouri.
I don't know that there is.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to wear a jumpsuit. I haven't worn those in years. I can't fit in.
But you used to, and you were the best. And I'm telling you what, you looked like Elvis.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's our three sponsors. We couldn't do without them. I have been told, Mark, I don't know whether you've heard this or not, but Jim Whining, our CEO, he sent me an email the other day. I think we're going to be getting a phone system here pretty soon. And the great news is, guys out there listening and watching our show today, on my radio show for 7.5 years, I had a very complex developed computer system and speakers and monitors and earphones and telephone system. And we could have guests from all over the country calling in live during our show. And I've always wanted that. And that's why we want sponsors, because little by little, we've been saving our money to where we can come up with a phone system. And so I believe before the end of this year, we're going to be live. That's going to be really cool. We're going to be able to take some calls, and that will connect the world, connect our country to us right here. And that's part of our dream.
But they're going to call in. There's a Mr. Morris. I live out on Farm Road 427.
And I need my weeds mowed.
When can I get my ditch mowed?
Yeah, they will. And I'm used to that. And so I'll have to call them back.
Right. Yeah. Next.
Yeah, I'll have to call them back. But hey, anyway, we're excited about that. I appreciate Jim and Pam Whining, such great leaders in our and I saw Paul Collins the other night. I went to Capitol Commission. That's the Christian arm of the politics up in Jefferson City. We have a minister, John Battaglia from Ozark, Missouri, drives up to Jefferson City every week when we're in session and leads us in Bible study every Tuesday morning at 7:00. That tests you to see, after you're out long hours debating every day, to see if you can get up at before 7, get there at 7:00 and go through Bible study. It is, and it's cold up there in Jefferson City. And John does a lot of stuff. He walks around and prays for people. People say, well, God's not there in the Capitol. God's not in government, but God is. Yeah. And some people just don't want to claim it, but it is. God is there at the Capitol, and so we're really happy about that. But I tell you what, we're going to start our show again. But Louie, why don't you sing a song?
Sure, I'd love to.
What are you going to sing?
What's the band know back there? Oh, If That Isn't Love. This is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Found it this morning. I was thinking about it when I drove in.
Okay.
So God's got a lot of mercy.
Yeah. For you and me.
Absolutely.
And everyone out there.
But thank you for my mama for teaching me this. He left the splendor of heaven, knowing his destiny was the lonely hill of Golgotha, that lay down his life for me. And if that isn't love, and the ocean is dry, there's no stars in the sky, and the little sparrows can't fly. That isn't love. than heaven's a There's no feeling like this. If that isn't love, even in death, he remembered the thief hanging by his side. Then he spoke of love and compassion, and he took them to paradise. And if that isn't love, then heaven's a There's no stars in the sky, and the little sparrows can't fly. If that isn't love, then heaven's a There's no feeling like this. If that isn't love, it's got to be love.
All right, that's great, Elvis. I mean, Louie, that is great. That is absolutely great. Okay, Mandy, I want to talk to you again. So, how long have you been a cancer survivor?
So it was 7 years this year.
7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get to ring the bell?
I had rung the bell
before.
Back before, after I had surgery,
but milestone 7 years. There was something that happened.
I got to go off of some of my medication
that causes side effects.
That causes some bad side effects, and so that was a big deal to me.
Yeah, because me being a pharmacist, I realized I give you all medicine. I give everybody medicine, and it's supposed to do the right thing, but obviously all medicines can have side effects, and that's a terrible thing that you have to deal with. Sometimes you have to take a medicine for the medicine that causes a side effect and things like that. And so that's no fun. No, that's a milestone. So 7 years you've been healthy, and you and you still have checkups and things, and all women are going to continue to have these checkups. I want to kind of go through some facts just very quickly and kind of tell you. So in this world, people are watching all over the world today. And in 22, they're predicting that in 22, there will be over 2.3 million women that will be diagnosed with breast cancer. There will be over 685,000 women that will die from breast cancer this year, 2022. We're about through with this year. We're going to start another year. But I know prevention is the number one thing, okay? And so I'm encouraging all the women out there to don't delay. And you know, one of the worst things that we had about COVID is they stopped all these diagnostic tests. They stopped going to the doctor. The doctors didn't want you to come to see them, and they canceled all their appointments. I know they canceled my skin. I've got something on my leg I want the doctors to see, but last year they wouldn't even see me. So I still got this thing on my leg. I will be seeing the doctor in November.
Went on pause for 2 years.
Yeah, on pause. But guess what? There were still diseases and cancers and things going on in our bodies. And we told them to wait for 2 years. And so that's a bad thing. Yeah. So we probably contributed to some people not being diagnosed as early as they should have. Unfortunately, it may cause some people to die. But that's in the world. But just think about in our own country. This is an estimate for 22. Okay. The best they can figure out is about 287,500 women are going to come down, and there's a few men, are going to come down with a diagnosis of invasive cancer, okay? And that's where it has already spread. That's a high number. Okay. Same thing estimated in 51,400 cases of non-invasive. So that's basically, Mandy, what you had was you were diagnosed early enough that it was spreading in your breast, but it had not spread anyplace else in your body. And so that's non-invasive, and about 51,000 of them. So when you're looking at it, about 350,000 people in this country. And honestly, probably that's underestimated, because there's a lot of women that actually don't get detected until it's way too late. And then they're stage 3 or stage 4. And then they don't have very long to live. So honestly, you've got to deal with it. And let me ask you a question, Mandy. So you and I've never really talked about this, but I think I know the answer. So, you know, when people have conditions that are problems with their life, and we're talking about healthcare problems now. I think, this is my own opinion, I think a lot of people will find God, if they don't already know God and have a personal relationship with God and Son and Holy Spirit. If they don't have that already, I think they will after they go through something like you have. Is that?
Oh, I think definitely. I already had a relationship with God, but one of the reasons that I like to tell my story is to help people. But another reason that I like to tell my story is because I think sometimes after you go through something and it gets behind you, sometimes you can forget. And so I think it always kind of keeps that in the back of my memory, what God did for me. And I always make jokes about it too, because I mean, I had so many people, I mean, just, you know, besides my family, I mean, I had so many people that prayed for me. I always joke that God was like, okay, this lady's going to be fine because I can't deal with it anymore. Like, she's got so many people, you know, calling me and praying all the time. And so, but that is one thing, that's one reason I think it's important personally to remember and to kind of tell my story, is just so it kind of brings me back down. You know, because we get going on with our normal life, and, you know, and things seem great, and, you know, and it's not always like that. And so I think it's important to keep that in the forefront and remember, you know, that God is the one that, I mean, he's the one that cured me and carried me through. And, you know, and there were some dark times, and, you know, and he got me through that.
Well, so God is the great healer. God is the great physician. There's no one greater than God. And so he helped heal you. And as the great physician, he probably was guiding Dr. Bunbury's hands and making sure that his mind and the hands were doing the right thing. Pretty delicate procedure and things like that. And you know, for all the people out there listening, I just want people to know there is hope. There's a lot of hope in this world. Even though I watched the news this morning, I see the devastation over in Ukraine and don't understand why there's a war, and they're not fighting the soldiers. They're fighting innocent people and blowing up all these buildings and killing all these innocent people. I don't understand all the stuff that's going on, but I do know that God is in control, and so we can't give up. We got to have hope. So I'm thankful, Mandy, that you had God on your side before the surgery, you know, during the diagnosis and everything, because I think it'd be pretty lonely, pretty scary if you didn't have God in your life. And so, you know, even though you don't want bad things to happen, sometimes that's where God is drawn into you, because
in our darkest moments.
Yeah. And God is good. He's good. You could have not paid any attention to him, and you could be 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, and you have something serious happen, and you reach out for God. He's there. He's there. So, you know,
it's the same God in the valley as he is on the mountain.
That's right. And it's not too late until it's too late. And so that's what we want to tell people. Well, we got 1 minute left. Mark is signaling to us. So, Mandy, thank you for coming in. A difference maker. You are a difference maker. You've always been a difference maker. Louie, you are a super difference maker.
Thanks for always sitting me by beauty.
Yeah. I tell you what, we ran out of time. We didn't do one of your songs, so we'll save it till next time.
That's okay.
You know, you didn't pick a song I could sing with you on, but next week we're going to have another great show. Don will be back, and if Don's not back, we'll get Louie back in here. Maybe we'll get all three in here at the same time.
That'd be great.
We're going to have a lady that's coming from the College of the Ozarks, and that's Hard Work U. in down at Hollister, Missouri, down at Point Lookout, and that's one of 10 colleges in the United States where you work to have your tuition and all your school expenses paid for. It's going to be extremely interesting to find out about what is going on at the College of Ozarks as we've kind of explored some of the different universities and schools and things like that. So everyone have a great rest of the week, and we'll be back next Wednesday. Thank you so much.
Remember to choose to live.
Values the old time family. They dream this land stays free under God, not tyranny. That's what it means to really dream. 1, 2, 3. Can I get a hoorah from a patriot like me? Can I get an amen? Do I hear a hallelujah? Can I get a hoorah from a patriot like me? That's what it means to really